Since last the board discussed this subject, Mr. Walker and I did reopen the negotiation with Stephen Gerber, Charter, and we got a new arrangement regarding the PEG programming and also regarding the annual PEG report that had been in the contract when last I brought it to the board. And so these are sections 13.2 and 13.4, which are or should be redlined or blue, one color or the other, on your copies, and we can go ahead and explain what has happened, what the difference is. So what's happened is the contract previously had required 8 hours of PEG access programming every day between the hours of 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. Now the requirement has been reduced to 2. And the requirement does not kick in until after 2 years have passed from when this contract was signed. There is also a provision that allows the county to repeat the program. So it says the original showing of a program and 3 repeats may be counted toward the above calculation. And so in effect that means that if you have, say, 2 hours, if you're filming the business session, it goes for 2 hours. Then you've got 8 hours basically covered per week if you repeat it 3 more times. You play it once and repeat it 3 times. So the upshot is within 2 years, the county is going to need to come up with 6 additional hours of programming to satisfy the requirements in this new provision 13.2. Right? Okay. And so any questions about that so far?
It's a good reduction, reasonable numbers on it.
And of course, none of this has been agreed to. This has been what we told them we'd bring back to the board as a whole to contemplate, discuss, and perhaps decide. And okay, I think that covers 13.2 in regards to language. And then as to 13.4, Charter has removed a requirement that was in there that required the county to report its usage, its programming usage of the PEG channel. So we don't have to do the programming report. We do, however, have to do an annual report regarding PEG expenses, and that will be turned into Charter in a format that's described in Exhibit A at the very end of the contract. There's an Exhibit A, and it has a variety of lines that ask the county for information about how it's spending the PEG money. Another item that John had brought up, and I asked Charter about, was the signal apparently is collected in analog format, but it goes out as broadcast as digital, or actually it gets broadcast as analog, but the rest of Charter is digital. Is that right?
Right now we broadcast both. We can broadcast both analog and digital.
Okay.
And what Charter wants to do is get rid of the analog support. They want to go pure digital. They're not willing to go HD, so we will see some increase in the quality of picture on Charter's side. But the advantage for them is to go digital and not deal with analog connections anymore. We would have to purchase $5,300 worth of equipment to give them the signal in their codecs that they can accept for digital. The benefit is, frankly, more for them, at least in the short term, until they decide to broadcast in HD. Our picture quality will get a little better. I'm not sure that the bars on the side will go away. But there's advantages to both, let's say. So my concept was, let's throw it into the mix and see if we can negotiate what they pay for it. RBTV is kind of spearheading the effort along with Charter in order to make this digital process work for all their partners. So it looks like they've said in response, it's yours, you buy it if you want it.
That's what they said, basically, yeah. He said, quote, "We don't supply that equipment, but if your IT director has questions about what equipment is necessary or where to get a good price, we can certainly help with that." So that's his reply. If the board wanted to dig in on that, I guess we could go and... But
I personally do. I mean, that's John's bailiwick in my mind.
It was just a thought.
Yeah.
Get them to pay for something that
Sure.
supports both.
They don't want to.
Doesn't seem so.
no, they don't want to. That's...
Never hurts to ask,
Right.
No?
No.
Didn't hurt to ask.
Okay.
Good. So I have something on 10.1 for whatever reason I wrote it down.
signature page needs to be
Indeed.
signatures.
Yeah, when we this is the red line, version. So thank you for pointing that out. Uh-huh.
Yes, and the grantee shall pay the grantor an annual franchise fee in an amount of equal to 5% of the annual gross revenue. That is the, I mean, it's a pejorative way, but I mean, there's not, that's all there is. We're not having any other expected payments to come because of this, or we have to account for that, or it's 5% of the annual gross revenue.
Yes, and then there will be the PEG as well.
Right.
So there's two streams of revenue.
Yeah, right. Okay. Anybody else?
No, I don't know. I thought 13.2 was supposed to just go away. It's just got dumbed down to practically nothing.
Well, they didn't.
They weren't willing to make it go away.
Yeah, they were not willing to make it go away. They dragged their feet on
I like the
that.
contract the way it stands. I mean, that was the way I was represented last time. We're getting a pretty good deal right now.
Is 13.2, John? Is that restrictive on you in any way, or is that seen as any kind of a burden on you? Or?
I think you're going to find in 2 years, and we have 2 years, that our BTV is going to be a better financial deal for the county to supply contacts. But I don't know that for sure.
Well, they are right now, but we can't afford to pay them, and they're not going to do it for free. And I don't think our financial system, our situation is going to be all that much better in 2 years, so we can afford to pay somebody. And we were doing that when I came on the board, using PEG funds, and I frankly thought it worked great. They were doing all sorts of stuff. There were shortcomings to it, but that's the situation right now.
Right, so when I compare what it's going to cost for us to handle, it's 2 years out, public programming from schools or departments, and get that up, that it's going to be an expense that you could compare favorably with someone else doing it, who does it all the time as a commodity.
So you foresee being able to comply with 13.2, these requirements of all of this stuff is supposed to be, and it's great if we could do it for free, but it's going to cost us money, and that's my whole thing, is this agreement. How long does it go? It goes
10 years.
10 years.
10 years, extendable 5.
I just say no.
13.2.
Our situation is we can't be held to the points of required programming by this contract. Because the least we can do is rebroadcast our weekly business sessions, and that's the only thing I think we can really agree to legitimately into the future, regardless of our fiscal situation. But in 2 years we're closing the jail and we're having to pay for RVTV to do broadcasting because we're trying to comply with this contract. We know that's coming down the pike. No, that's my point for saying I can't sign a contract that I can't do that. I'd like to. It's a good goal, but I can't be held responsible to it. So I'm at that point, I'm to Commissioner Walker's walk away from it entirely. We don't have to do that right now. Just remove 13.2 or continue with the existing contract for the next couple of years.
And we would not remove it.
Then I like the contract we have.
So what's the downside?
The contract we have, or
No,
it was more
this
time?
is not it. The contract we have in a month right now. We tried, all in good faith.
So what's the impact of that? What's the downside of that?
I believe the projected revenue from the new contract in regards to your franchise fee would increase by potentially around $15,000 annually. So there's a difference there in terms of revenue. This is the updated version of the agreement that was reached last time. I mean, basically it's a lot of legal stuff that makes the county's contract with Charter more current. But in terms of money.
How much does it cost us as a county to broadcast our weekly business sessions?
Well, we pay $6,000 a year for the streaming, for the live stream and the archiving, plus the time that we spend, the IT time. So when you take, when I say RVTV might be a better deal in 2 years, it's because they would do that too, included. I will tell you that we, just last night's broadcast was done remotely. We did it on a Surface. Chancey Small built a really great interface that you can do it remotely. So that might save some money in oversight. naturally.
Because what I was thinking is that we do have other meetings and we do have other events that we could make the effort over the next 2 years, whether it's planning meetings, whether it's training meetings, whatever it is.
Drug court,
Or,
whatever happens over there.
drug court event, graduation,
It really just is not that much though.
And
You start
so-
trying to meet these.
And if we have staff there
Yeah.
to film
Right.
those and record them, that's an expense and time.
Right, but if we're getting $15,000 a year, would it exceed the $15,000 a year?
Is that the difference, the question? 15,000?
Yeah, we're getting $15,000 a year more.
Probably not if I could hire someone part-time for $15,000, and I'm not saying that's my proposal, but if I was to have $15,000, we could probably comply with that.
So if you can do it remotely, like you did last night, would that be also a help for you?
It's something that we've just started to do.
Mhm.
I thought was even that whichever staff is at the meeting, it's a point in touch.
Mhm.
So if we can save that kind of thing, then we're not talking about
Right.
the same equation.
See, what I'm getting at is that over the next 2 years, if we're making the effort to get there, I think that would go a long ways as far as us having this contract with $15,000 more a year, rather than sit back and wait 2 years and say, well, we just can't get the programming. If we're trying to comply with this requirement to get that additional $15,000. I know they're not directly linked, but it would get us to $15,000, but we also comply with 13.2 by our efforts of trying to get there. So we get there, maybe we're 2 hours a month short or something. I don't think that would be something that they would quibble about. I really
Why put it in
don't.
a contract?
Pardon?
So why put it in a contract?
Well, no, what I'm saying is, that, if we are going from not doing it at all
Yeah.
to trying to do it,
Right.
and we do our report, and I actually like the little format that they've used on their form here because it's very specific as to what they're asking for when they report. It doesn't leave it to us to try to figure out what they're looking for. I think that's a good thing. So I think this contract actually gives us the opportunity to do a better job in a lot of ways, not only for the public, but as far as reporting to Charter, because they've given us what they want reported. Always before they say, give us a report. Well, what do you want? What do you want in that report? And the last time you worked so hard on one, it wasn't satisfactory to
Didn't want
them.
that.
It was pages,
Yes.
a lot of information, but they weren't happy with it.
Yes.
So now they've given us a format of a report, and we have 2 years to gear up to something. And I really think that it would be. I think it's beneficial to us. Sure, I would prefer not to have to report on anything. Gee, do what you want to do, but
There's nothing in the law that requires us to do so. I think we need to remember that when you read this contract, we're the grantor. They're the grantee. We don't appear by this contract to be in charge. Somebody else is pulling the strings on this stuff, and that the whole tone of it is weird to me. Like we're having to do this because they're giving us money. Fine. Don't use our access. Don't use our right of way. Don't, figure out a different way to do it. Cable, impossible. So I don't know. It just feels weird. But I can see your point. I think I'd like to improve our ability to broadcast things. But when I look at the last year of how many planning commission meetings we've had, calendar year, 4, maybe 5. You're looking for original content to complete with this contract. That's 2 or 3 drug court graduations. Senator, congressman, town halls over there. There's very few things that are in that is our broadcasting area. I just don't think we're going to have enough original content every month to do it. So,
John, you're the one who's directly involved in that process with some knowledgeable experience. What's your feeling about that as saying, ooh,
Follow the board's prioritization.
oh, you're a slick guy. I mean, as far as meeting that 2 hours requirement, is that burdensome? Is that
Don't know until we do it. We have 2 years to ramp up. It's hard to look 2 years forward what our staff is going to look like. If the onus is on IT to manage that process and to get the new data and to be at meetings that we're not at now in order to acquire that data, then I have concerns. Not the biggest concern on home sleep.
Mhm.
So I'm looking for direction on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, a difficulty for me is that we're contracting on the unknown. In other words, I know I have to have my car taken care of monthly and that kind of a contractual agreement or a lease a car. I know exactly what's required. Here we're setting a contract up that begins theoretically in 2 years. And what's the economy going to be? What are we going to be in 2 years' time? Don't know.
My understanding is that the remedy on Charter's side, in this case, that we're not to meet the quantity of programming is that they yank the channel, not reduce the pay.
Mm-hmm.
So are you willing to suffer possible temporary loss of the public channel if we're not able to meet that in 2 years?
But there are other programs. For instance, there's a program coming up, and I think it's going to be at the Ann Vasker. Our library puts on 2 or 3 times a year a couple-hour program of some kind of historical or literary value type of program, and we've never broadcast them, but that doesn't mean we couldn't broadcast them. I think the one that they're doing now is Jim Vasker that's coming in on Abraham Lincoln and historical Civil War or something like that. That'd be a great program to broadcast. It's a 2-hour program, and so those are the kinds of things that we would have to look for, as a board, saying, okay, if we're going to allow our library department to put on an educational historical program, why couldn't we broadcast that as part of that, and then we could rerun it 2 or 3 times, So I probably more than that, because those programs are usually really very good. But they've done another one. Previously, they did another one last spring. They did one as well.
Well, the contract only allows us to rerun it. Is it 3 times?
3 times within a 12-week period.
Oh, within the 12-week period. That's right. Yeah.
Right. They run it once a month.
I don't know what the math is on that, but it's a lot of original content. 2 hours a day, original content. That's a lot. Saying that's a lot of content not to be ran consecutively in a 12-week period.
The math is you got basically 14 hours a week. If you got 2 a day, that's 14 hours a week. And then, so let's say there's a 2-hour general discussion business session that the board wants to run. And so you can rerun that 3 times. And so there's 8. And then if you got another one on there for an hour and a half, then you can rerun that 3 times.
But our last night's weekly business session was 33 minutes.
Yeah,
34 minutes.
Well,
so you're already behind. You've got an hour and a half of content.
We could have talked a lot more
I thought
slow.
we talked a lot. Yeah. I mean, see, it's all well and good if you have 2 hours.
You could read the
right. I'm not going to do that to comply with a contract of something I don't have to. If it's a half an hour, it's a half an hour, and so be it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like the budget committee. Okay, that's the year. I'm looking at the.
Supposing we would want to get there. It's not that I don't want to try to.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's just that there is the reality that this means $15,000 more a year.
Where that comes from.
It's an update of the gross. It's an update of the gross revenue definition.
So we're changing that?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
How so?
It's the 5% of the 5%.
Okay. Yes, we did talk about that.
Okay. So, is that making sense,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair? Okay. So, and that's not going to be changed. I mean, Charter has a certain number of channels, and they would readily assign the PEG channel to the Lifetime Rerun Network or something.
Well, we already have
so
moved up to the hinterland from like channel 9 or 10 or something. It was a normal PEG channel back in the day.
Yeah, and so you're talking exclusively now just about this PEG issue. This really doesn't have implications for your franchise fee. And so I don't think it's an either-or comparison there. I think your franchise fee, that's well decided upon. We've all agreed to that. You're not really talking. What you're talking about here is whether you're going to have a PEG channel.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, that's the decision that is before you.
Right.
And if you have a PEG channel, then you get $50,000 over the course of the contract. And these requirements, this is as good as it's going to get.
Yeah, so if we want to take
I don't
that
believe
over
that.
the next...
I mean, they reduced their PEG liability. What are they paying us now, like $20,000? And you're talking about over 10 years getting it down to 50? That's a substantial give. We don't have these requirements right now. I don't feel like that's much of a give. You know, their potential liability over 10 years is a couple $100,000, and we don't have any of these requirements. Keep the contract. They're going to come back and say, you're right, maybe we can't, maybe we don't have to do 13.2. Without 13.2, and I'm ready to go. I don't want to debate this forever because it's PEG. It's something that's great for the community, but it's not a vital thing for us. I'm just, at my point, that's where I'm at.
Okay, you can look at it this way. Either we give up the PEG channel now, or we make the effort to give up the PEG channel and fail and give up the PEG channel in 2 years. I mean,
We don't have to give it up right now.
Well, I don't know. Do we?
No.
Will we?
No.
What does the current contract require as far as PEG goes?
Nothing. I like the way we have it right now. I mean, it could be better if we had more resources, but
Well,
I'm not going to cave to these. I'm not going to cave to cave.
I don't think it's so much a caving, because there has been negotiation back and forth on both sides of the fence. So I don't think it's a matter of we win, they lose. You know, they caved, we didn't. They try to arrive at some kind of an amicable agreement. And my only
What
concern
are we giving up then?
we're giving up having to produce more than what they originally wanted to have us produce.
We don't have any requirement right now.
Well,
I'm just trying to look at
Yeah.
what they don't have to, 10 years, $20,000, $200,000 worth of liability. Cut that by $150,000 down to $50,000. They know what their liability is, and they know what it's going to be. Right now, it floats. It's been higher than $20,000. It's been close to 30, I think, 28 at one point. And so they're defining it. No, it's not going to be any less or any more than $50,000. That's a big give. Plus, they're requiring us to do these things, which are great things, but we can't necessarily, I can't say we can do them. And right now, we don't have anything. We do what we can, and we've got it defined as far as staff, and it's only getting better, being able to do stuff remotely. We're giving up a lot. I don't see them really giving up what? Anything.
There is the 150 or so thousand that the franchise fee will increase by over the course of the contract. So if you call that 150 plus 200 or plus 50 as PEG.
200.
So besides PEG is a pass-through expense to the users.
Right.
So it's not like it's coming out of Charter's checkbook. I mean,
That's
so
why I don't know why they're giving us so much hard time.
because they want the channel back.
Not even worth it. It's not one of those prime channels anymore either. That just doesn't make any sense. Well, I've said mine. Done.
if we do continue on the month-to-month, will everything contractually continue as it is right now?
It will.
And John, from an IT side, is that a problem for us, you continuing as things are right now?
No. No, we'll continue to make improvements on cutting down on our time invested in the government.
From your side of the fence, does it make any difference if we continue as things are right now?
I like the existing contract.
So you're the cause of all this problem.
We haven't actually talked about that.
Yeah, right. Okay, so
Besides, we get this off our desk, which would be really great.
well, in one sense we can, but in another sense we're just continuing month to month. Shoot. So if we said continue month to month, what happens now from your end of the post?
Well, I'll tell Mr. Gerber that the board is not inclined to agree to the provisions of particularly 13.2 unless it comes out, is what I'm gathering. then there's going to be no contract. He's going to come back almost certainly and say then there's no new contract and the situation remains as is.
But, and as you were going to say something.
I was going to say, though, that means either way, whether you adopt a new contract or keep things as is, I think it'll be transparent to the end user. I don't think your citizens out there are really going to know the difference. So, but
okay, I mean, I would be willing to support the idea that the known enemy is one you can effectively deal with. It's the unknown that comes up and gets you. And in 2 years' time, we're not really sure fiscally where we're going to be at, and to be contractually obligated for 15 years or whatever, or 10 years, for something that we might not have the fiscal resources to do. I would support the idea of letting them know that we'll go with the existing contract, which is a month by month right now, unless they want to seriously reevaluate that 13.2, because that's the real difficulty of trying to project into the unknown future fiscal responsibilities that we have to assume as a county, and just don't know what those things are going to be.
okay.
So you understand?
Yeah, I mean, I hope.
Basically agree.
Hopefully they come back with something.
Yeah.
You know.
So you understand the fine point, and not
I
necessarily
understand.
asking you to agree.
I don't agree, but I understand.
Okay. Okay. So we know where we're at on that.
We know.